The 7th Democratic debate is going down in Iowa tonight. We're going to take a look at what to watch with our friend Julia Manchester. While most of the 2020 Democratic hopefuls are setting their sights on the 4 early primary states, Michael Bloomberg is playing a different primary game altogether. Take a look at that too. And lastly, the Russian hackers, they're back at it again. I'm Jamal Simmons. Here's why you should care. It's going down tonight in Des Moines. 6 Democrats are taking the stage in the latest Democratic primary debate, sponsored by CNN and the Des Moines Register. Though it's the 7th debate in the series, it might be the first one with some real fireworks. Here to discuss what to watch is one of our top political reporters from the Hill, Julia Manchester. Julia, thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So what should we expect tonight? There have been a lot of kind of debate fisticuffs going on between the candidates.
Absolutely. So I think before yesterday, we were going to watch for some kind of a showdown between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Joe Biden has consistently been the front runner in this race, but Bernie Sanders has also had consistent support, and he's actually surged in the past couple of weeks. He also had that $34.5 million fundraising haul in Q4. However, that all changed yesterday with reporting from CNN saying that Bernie Sanders apparently told Elizabeth Warren in a private 2018 meeting that he did not believe a woman could be elected president in this day and age. Now, the Sanders campaign...
There's a lot of pushback on that.
A lot of pushback, and the Sanders campaign is denying that, and they are pushing back on it. But Warren is confirming this, and it's just so incredible because
It's amazing. She confirmed it herself. I was very surprised to see that.
I was surprised to see that because you've seen these 2 progressives who kind of had this non-aggression pact this entire campaign. And now in the 11th hour, right before the debate, just weeks before the Iowa caucuses, the gloves come off. There's a lot of critics of Warren saying this is because she has slipped in the polls, she's falling behind in fundraising, and she is no longer the top progressive in the race. So you're getting
But of course it is, because she's got to, if she wants to win, she wants to survive, she's got to prove herself in Iowa. She's got to prove herself in New Hampshire. The worst thing to happen to her is to come in behind Bernie Sanders, because why go for progressive light when you can get the original, and the original seems to be winning?
Absolutely. And when you look at a state in Iowa in particular, I was talking to a couple of Iowa Democratic operatives last night. This is a state that recently has seen more women elected to office, like a surge of it. So in 2018, we saw the first 2 women elected to Congress from Iowa.
Oh, wow.
Kim Reynolds was the first woman governor. She's a Republican who was elected in the state. So you've seen this widespread kind of progress in Iowa.
And on the Republican side, too.
On the Republican side, as Jody as well. So you've seen this progress really over the past several years in Iowa, and it's peculiar whether that was part of a calculation on the part of the Warren campaign in the timing of this. We still don't have that confirmed yet.
Calculation in politics.
Yes, you never know. I wonder.
All right, so there's another fight that might be brewing. We saw a story earlier today that there's some Black Lives Matter activists that are following Pete Buttigieg around and raising questions about police accountability, police brutality. And Buttigieg had that tough moment back in South Bend earlier in the primary season where he got into kind of a back and forth because someone was killed by the police there. I mean, he got into a back and forth with an African-American woman where he says, "I'm not asking for your vote." Now, it may have been a little taken out of context, but it's just a quote, like a scene that is just dog. You would hate to have that in your campaign. So Buttigieg could be under some stress because of his record on police accountability.
Absolutely, and this is something that has dogged his campaign from the very beginning, whether it was because he doesn't have a diverse enough staff or not enough people of color at his rallies or his campaign events. It also comes as the DNC is facing quite a bit of pushback for its debate requirements, with a lot of candidates of color who have since dropped out. Kamala Harris, Julian Castro, Cory Booker, essentially saying that this debate stage is not diverse enough, and that's impacting candidates' chances in the long term.
Somebody said to me yesterday what I thought was a pretty damning assessment, that Donald Trump is actually more popular with African-American voters than Pete Buttigieg is, if you look at the polls.
I haven't seen those polls yet, but that would be damning.
It's pretty tough. Okay, is there anything positive we should expect? We know we're going to have these fights everybody's looking out for, but any policy or anything that anybody's going to be talking about from the campaign trail that we think might lift the debate up a little higher?
Right, so you're probably going to see some agreement on some domestic issues. It'll be interesting to see how this issue of health care plays out. We know that Warren and Sanders have both been on the same side of that, but it doesn't seem like they're going to have the most amicable of nights. So it'll be interesting to see how that issue plays out. Foreign policy could also be a very interesting issue. Before this Warren and Sanders debacle, we expected Bernie Sanders really to go after Joe Biden on his 2002 Iraq war vote. However, we don't know if that will be overshadowed. But I think it's interesting that
Iran happened,
and foreign policy is now in the front row seat of this campaign, and we know that foreign policy doesn't always play the biggest role in campaigns.
That's right. So Iran, and then the last thing that may come up is the impeachment trial.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to believe they're going to ask a question about impeachment.
And that's something I think all of the candidates agree on, and we've seen in the past them all ask about impeachment, and they all generally agree on that issue.
Right. All right. Well, we know also that if they do have this trial, those senators that are standing up on that stage are going to be locked down in Washington, D.C., and the impact of that, who knows what will happen.
We'll have to see. I mean, I think you're going to see some trying to get out to Iowa or New Hampshire maybe on the weekends. I've heard some chatter if that gets trials adjourned maybe in the afternoon, they'll fly out for an evening event, but that could be very difficult.
Presidential candidate Michael Bloomberg is playing a different primary game than the rest of his 2020 Democratic rivals. First of all, the former mayor of New York City hasn't been accepting any campaign donations, so he's not qualified to make the debate stage tonight despite having the polling numbers. Instead, Bloomberg's focused on Super Tuesday states, while other candidates all focus on the Democratic contests in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada. Bloomberg's late entry into the Democratic field left him little opportunity to stake his claim in those early states. That's why he's setting his sights on March 3rd, Super Tuesday, and beyond in states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin that are vital to winning the presidency in 2020. Remember, those were the blue wall states. According to Politico and Fox News, Bloomberg's campaign has ballooned to more than 1,000 people and now has a presence in 33 states. On top of all that, the latecomer to the presidential race is trying to catch up with television ads. According to the ad tracking firm Advertising Analytics, he's already spent over $200 million on TV ads. If you haven't seen one yet, you're likely to catch a 60-second Super Bowl commercial on game day. He's also on social media. Here's why you should care. Other people have tried to win using this late-stage strategy, but Bloomberg is the first person to do so with $1 billion at his disposal. But a big question remains. We live in an era of massive wealth inequality when people still remember all the Wall Street executives who didn't pay a price for the financial collapse in 2009. We've got tech companies that are becoming monopolies that many people want to break up. We've got software, robots, and AI that are displacing labor. We've got people taking to the streets for police accountability. With all that going on, are Democrats really going to nominate a billionaire financial executive with a well-known stop-and-frisk policy? We'll be watching. It happened again. Russian hackers breached Ukrainian gas company Burisma. That's the company where former Vice President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, was a board member. It's also the same company at the crux of the impeachment matter. Coincidence? The New York Times first reported the story, and according to the paper, security experts found Russian hackers have been trying to get into Burisma's system since November, and they did succeed. But the nature of what they were looking for and what they found are unknown. Could it be the hackers are trying to dig up dirt in the Bidens? Wouldn't be surprised. Cybersecurity analysts from the firm Area 1 detected the hacking, and they say Russian hackers from the same military intelligence unit that went after DNC emails are responsible for this breach too. They set up a phishing email scam that directed Burisma employees to fake websites that prompted them to input usernames and password credentials. Now here's why you should care. Russia has proven time and time again that it's more than capable of waging cybersecurity attacks all over the world, including here in the United States. Though Congress approved $425 million for states and local governments to improve election security efforts, Senate Republicans, they're still refusing to take up 3 House-passed election security bills. Why? Well, according to Republican Senator Ron Johnson, who chairs the Senate Homeland Security Committee, he believes they are, quote, doing a pretty good job from a cyber standpoint. He also said he plans on holding a hearing on the issue. This week, voting machine vendors will testify in the lower chamber, marking the first election security hearing of 2020. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of hearings, and I don't feel very cyber secure. Thanks for watching Hill TV on YouTube. Be sure to click subscribe and hit the bell so you know when we post new videos. And head to thehill.com for all the latest political news.